Welcome back to the Artefactors Union. I am your host and foreman, Douglas Scoundrels. Today we are assembling the Extreme Measures box. I don't have the box for this one either, sorry. But it is consistent of two models for the Outcast faction. The models are in the Mercenary and Bandit keyword. They consist of Mae Chesterfield, which is this sprue over here, is a lady riding a mechanical cougar, and then the 6-armed 6-shooter, which is a robot with 6 arms and 6 shooters. Okay, we will go ahead and do LMA first, and then the SAS after that. So let's look at her instructions, and then we'll dig into the sprue. For LMA, we pretty much have two parts, the big cat, and then LMA herself, who is riding it. However, her legs are also attached to the cat. So we'll go ahead and grab the body of the cat, and then add the back haunch to it. And then we can do the 2 front legs, the 2 back legs. And then, I think before we actually add her torso on, we'll grab her torso, add her head, add the hair to her head, add the gun to her back, and then both of her arms, and then we'll add that torso to the body of the cat, with the only remaining piece being this, which I believe is also part of the reins for the cat. So we will start with D7 and D8, and then move on from there. D9, and that is a full cat body once we add on D8. Alright, let's look at our legs now. D2 is our front left leg, D4 is our front right leg, D1 is our back left leg, and D3 is our back right leg. So let's do them in that order, D2, D4, D1, and D3. Before D2, after D2, now let's add D4, and that one attached just as easily. Flip back over, back left leg is going to be D1. Another nice, easy, and chunky connection. Now let's do our last one, D3. Whoops, the back right leg. And this might seem confusing, that's because the leg is pointed that way instead of down, because the kitty's running. Alright, let's set the body down. I think actually we're going to add the hair to the head first before we attach to the body. So maybe orient this right. Grab D13 and D6. Okay, here's our itty bitty head. And our hair is going to wedge up underneath the hat like this. In there. So as far as orientation, it's kind of hard to tell. But let's see if we can see it. Maybe if I didn't have my fingernails on the way. There we go. You can see here that this is a fairly large connection surface, and this other side is a relatively smaller one. This is the one that's going to go up against the brim of the hat. So effectively, we're looking at the top of the bit. So let's attach that now. Okay, you can see there's next to no gap on that seam. So the head is good. Now we can pop out D11, the body, right there, and we'll attach the head to it. Looking at it again, I think the right arm is, in fact, D11, and this bit is D12. Let's add the head. Okay, choose attached. Note that the ponytail will connect to the back of the neck. So let's go ahead. Actually, we can attach her to the cat at this point. Before and after. A couple things of note. You got to kind of like wedge it in there, pop it in or whatever, just because this bit, which is supposed to be like, I guess, stuff attached to her belt, it's actually a part of this leg bit, and so there is a tooth underneath her butt, and getting the bit to connect to the tooth and around this pouch, I guess, was a little on the difficult side. Just make sure your seams are satisfactory. That's okay. It's really backed in there. Good. So I'd call her good. Now let's look at the rest of our bits. We will attach D5, the rifle, to her back, D11, her right arm, then D10, which will be her left arm, but also attached to the cat, and then we'll finish with D7, which is going to be other side of the reins. D5 is going to fit on her back with the barrel pointed up, a bit wiggly, but pushing down where it connects to the back will get it to settle into place. Now D10, the right arm. It's straightforward because she's shooting with it. Now D11, the left arm. Looks good. Notice it will connect here at the neck of the cat as well. I connected it here first and then rotated it down so it would slot into the shoulder. I feel like that's probably the better choice here. Lastly, D7, which will connect in here and should go up to the hand. Okay, it's in. A couple things to note. One, it connects to a lot of the body because it's hugging it real close. And two, it needs to go underneath the left hand. You can sort of see the strap. She's twisting the reins with her hand, so it needs to go at the bottom back there. But she is all done. Let's put her on a 50 mil. Mae Chesterfield is completed. This model was a decent chunk of bits, but the majority of them went in fairly simple. The biggest pain points, I think, was obviously the one brain that is attached to the neck of the cat going underneath her left hand, the one by itself that isn't attached to the arm. That was pretty difficult to install. Getting her torso onto the cat wasn't easy, and figuring out which direction her hair went took a little bit of thought on my part, but probably not on yours, because you saw what I did to orient it. There we go. Bleh. Okay, Lady on a Cat is done. Let's go on to our 8-limbed, not a spider. 6-armed, 6-shooter is going to be slightly simpler. Hooray. We will clip out C7, the body, excuse me, and do our arms first, working our way up from the bottom. So, C4 and C5 are going to be our lowest set of arms, the ones that are smallest. And then the singular center arm is, at least I think it's a center arm, it's going to be C3, and then the upper arms, which are all pointing the guns to the ceiling, sky or whatever, C2 and C1. Once those 5 arms are installed, we can do the right leg, the left leg, and then the cloak, cape, whatever. So grab C7, C4, and C5 first. Also, let's look at the instructions. Apologize, it looks like at least one of these bits is going to need the leg in place to help guide where it's supposed to go. So we will actually do the legs next. Let's grab C9, our right leg, and C8, our left leg. Here we have C7, C9, our right leg is going to go on the end of this stump. Oops, this stump. And the C8, the left leg, is going to go on the end of this stump. Okay, while it does attach to the stump, I think the most important thing to get a guide on exactly what it's supposed to look like is that the holster that is attached to the leg attaches to the side of this gun belt. So you really want to make it look like the render, or reference the render, to get it to sit correctly. Let's look at the back real quick. Alright, let's do C8, the left leg. This one was a bit easier just because the connection point is very obvious and large. That's the way our leg looks. Okay, next we do actually get to do the arms now. Ignore that. C4, our lower right arm, is going to fit basically in between here, the stump of the arm, and the holster here. Part of the bit is the grip for the gun, which will be poking out and kind of going that way, I think. Again, this one was a little tough, just because I feel like you can't actually push it too far in, and it will look not as good. The point of reference is going to be the grip of that pistol, and it's just supposed to look like it actually is a properly sized, shaped pistol inside that holster. But that looks good to me, so we can move on to, I believe it was C5, our other lower arm, the left one, which will go right in there. That one is a lot easier to do and get it pointed in the right direction. Again, check the render just to make sure it matches. Our one middle arm that isn't already attached to the torso is going to go right there. And that is, let's see, C3 right there. Actually, it looks like we might need the cape for that to fit in correctly, so we'll go and do the other arms of the cape and then do C4, C5, whatever that bit was. So we'll do C2, which is the left upper arm, and then C1, which is the right upper arm. C2 fitting up in that shoulder socket. Looks great from the front. Now let's do C1, the right arm fitting in there. Nope, that one's not really going to fit well either. I feel really stupid. Let's just do the cape now. Okay, yeah, that was the right move, honestly. This should have gone on the second we got done with the lower arms, just because you can see, and it's part of the connection point there, and part of the connection point there. So now we can go ahead and add our upper right arm, C1, like so, from the front. And then our middle left arm, which I think is C5, which would be pointing back. And there's the arm. Alright, he's all done. Put him on a base. We are all done with 6-armed 6-shooter. This was more difficult than I was expecting it to be. Part of it my own fault. Definitely put the cape on once you're done with the lower 2 arms and the legs, as well as make sure you put the legs on before you do the lower 2 arms, because they contain connection points. The hardest overall part of this mini was the lower right arm. Getting that gun grip to fit correctly, align correctly with that holster was a bit of a pain. Okay, yep, those are my notes. Let's look at the whole box. The Extreme Measures box is done, containing Mae Chesterfield and the 6-armed 6-shooter. This box definitely had its pain points. Overall, a lot of the bits were very easy to connect, but just 1 or 2 for each model that were, hard. The one rein on the cat for Mae Chesterfield, having to loop underneath her hand, was pretty difficult, as well as figuring out how her hair went, and the lower right gun arm on the 6-armed 6-shooter was also pretty painful. No, I got nothing else to say about them, so I'd say give them a good medium difficulty, but really just 1 or 2 bits for each that was hard. The rest of it was fairly simple. So, I have been your foreman, Doug the Scoundrels, helping you build a better Malifaux. Enjoy your bandits and mercenaries.